deep in space on a planet called Krypton, 3 weeks before the planet was destroyed on the outskirts of Kandor. A boom tube would open. A boom tube would open up as a tall being with skin tone gray, wearing black armor would appear out. As he would say,
Laura, thank you for meeting with me. Did you bring what I asked for?
Lariel would have pulled out a silver tube out of her bag as she would say, yes, just as you asked for Darkseid. I added my DNA and my husband's to it just to be safe. All it needs is the DNA of your choice, as Lariel would say right when she gave Darkseid the silver tube as he would take it from her. As he would say,
This is wonderful. Now I can add a very special DNA that I just got. I bonded with my own DNA, and with your DNA, my child will be great. Thank you for this, Laura. So for your good cooperation, take this. If you ever need me, and trust me, you will need me. This planet doesn't have much time.
Listening to his warning, Lariel would just nod her head as Darkseid would walk through the boom tube. Now back on his planet Apocalypse, Darkseid would have the silver tube with his DNA Kryptonian, and something else. Granny Goodness would walk in saying, so you have all that you need to create the true son of Apocalypse? As she would say with a massive grin on her face, Darkseid would just look at Granny Goodness and would just smirk as he would walk away. Months would go by as Darkseid would stand in front of a massive tub, where a baby would be in, as Darkseid would place his hand on the tube while watching his son grow each day. A scientist would walk up to say, with him in this tube full of sun energy, he would be more powerful than everyone in the entire universe, as the scientist would say, but Darkseid would just stand there and smile as he would say,
It's a good thing that I know about the Kryptonians' biology and how their bodies can absorb radiation and become gods with the indestructible strength. With my son being in this tube of solar radiation, he too will be much more powerful.
The scientist would also add on to what Darkseid just said. The scientists would just respond, oh, and the other thing that you asked for, I was able to DNA splice Lariel DNA, and made exact copy of it, just in case if you want to have a daughter to join him, as he would say with a huge grin on his face as Darkseid would just walk away and say,
Let's not rush ahead. He hasn't even been born yet. Once his progress is made, then we can work on making another one. But until then, keep that reserved.
The day would finally come, as the firstborn son of Apocalypse would be born. The true son of Darkseid would start screaming so loud that it would shook the entire planet itself. The entire tube would burst open, as Darkseid's son would be floating in midair, as he just cries out until Darkseid would grab hold of him, holding him in his arms, until the child would stop crying, as Darkseid would just look upon him, and would say,
From this very moment, your name would be Dravis.
30 years later, after coming back to life from a big battle against Doomsday, Superman would be at the Fortress of Solitude working on his strength, as he is still not at 100%, but that would still not be enough to stop him from pushing past his limits, as Kal-El would say.
I don't know what is going on. It feels like I'm still at half strength. Baby coming back to life took a lot out of me than I thought.
An android would decide to do more tests on our fellow Kryptonian, as it would respond, you still haven't got up to full strength, but it's okay. We devised something new just for you to help speed up the process. Please follow me, Sir Kal-El. Clark would follow the android as they would make their way to the other room within the fortress. Within the other room, a massive chamber would be seen as a tube would be in the center. The android would announce, please sir, step inside, so we can begin the process. Clark would just have a worry look on his face as he would just get a little bit hesitant as he would say,
I don't know about this. Will this even work?
The android would just announce, yes, it would work 100% guaranteed. Now please step inside and you shall see. Clark would have no choice. The tube doors would make their way open. as Clark would just step inside as the doors would close as the android would start the procedure. Liquid would start to pour in the tube, filling all the way up to the top as a meter would keep track of Clark's body as the red line would slowly go up. As the time would appear on a monitor, for how long Clark would have to be in the tube, the time would estimate 4 hours. With that being said, the android would completely shut itself down until the timer would be up. Meanwhile, in Smallville on the Kent farm, Lois Lane would pull up to the Kent's house as Martha Kent would be sitting outside. As she would see Lois Lane getting out the car, as she would make her way towards Martha Kent, as she would say, "Well, hello Lois, what brings you here today?" As she would say in a happy tone of voice, Lois would answer saying,
"Hey Mrs. Kent, is Clark here? He's not answering his phone. I tried calling him 9 times.
Mrs. Kent would have a worried look on her face as she would respond, "No, he is not here. I haven't talked to him all week or seen him. One quick question, why are you wearing a long sleeve jacket and it's hot out?" As Mrs. Kent would just look Lois up and down. As Lois is seen biting her nails, not saying anything, until Mrs. Kent would give Lois the death stare as she would say, "Lois, answer me." As Mrs. Kent's tone of voice would get higher, while Lois is still biting her nails, as she would finally say, "Lois."
Oh, okay, fine. You're about to be a grandmother because me and Clark are about to have a kid together. I've been hiding this from him for about 5 months now. I just don't know how to tell him that he's gonna be a father.
Mrs. Kent would bust out in joy as she would hug Lois, as tears would fall from Mrs. Kent's eyes as she would say, "I'm truly happy for you both. So how are you going to tell him?" As she would have a big smile on her face, as Lois would respond,
Well, I'm hoping tonight or whenever he answers my phone calls. Oh my god. Oh my god. You don't think he's cheating on me, do you, Mrs. Kent?
Mrs. Kent would just give Lois a straight face look, as she would let out, "That's a big no, Lois. Clark wouldn't do that to you, trust me. My son is not that type of person. Me and Jonathan raise him to be a great man, and plus it's just your emotions all over the place." Lois would just say,
Yeah, I know my emotions are everywhere. It's just, I don't know how to handle it, but I know I have to. I know I can. I just gotta not think about it. But I should really go. I have a lot of work to do. I'll see you around, Mrs. Kent.
as Lois would walk off, getting back into her car as she would start the engine and would begin to drive off, while Mrs. Kent would just wave goodbye as she watches Lois drive off into the sunlight. Meanwhile, and space, a ship with the Omega symbol on it would be flying through space as we come aboard and would see a man sitting on his throne as he is having a conversation with someone on a hologram, as the man sitting on his throne would let out,
Planet Co is now yours, Father.
Very good work, my son. Now it's time for you to take the next step as Superman is to take a planet named Earth. Now, can you do that?
Of course I can, Father. You'll be child's play.
Good. One thing I should tell you, there's another Kryptonian like yourself. I want you to bring him to me alive and kill anyone else that gets in your way.
No, really now. This should be fun. Before I head there, there's something I gotta do first, if that's okay.
That's fine, but don't be too long.
the hologram would end as Superman would just smile as the scene would close. Opening in a new scene location, we would come to the Fortress of Solitude as the 4 hours would be up as the tube would drain. The door to the tube would open as Superman would open his eyes as he steps from the tube as he would stretch out feeling brand new and fully recovered as he would say,
This feeling, I've never felt like this before. I feel super light on my feet and more stronger.
The android would answer to that saying, "That's because of the sunbath you wear in. It destroyed all your bad cells that weren't healing right and giving you new ones. It might take some time to get used to them." Clark would just smile as he walks over to grab his suit, but the android would let out, "There's no need to wear the black suit anymore. We made you a new suit that has yellow Sun pills that can help with red sun and any kryptonite, they're in your belt. Superman would put on his new suit. That was just like his first one but more detailed.
And this suit, it feels amazing. It's even more comfortable than my first suit my mom made me. Great work, droid.
The android would nod its head showing its thanks as he tells him, "Oh sir, you have a couple of missed calls from your mom. She needs you to come home."
Well, I better get going then. Don't want to keep her waiting.
Blink of an eye, Clark would super speed out of the fortress, moving faster than before as he would say,
I'm running way more faster than I thought. It's been a while since I ran. Now, let's fly the rest of the way.
Clark would be moving so fast, he would stop himself as everything around him would slow down as he slides across the ground. He would brace himself, bending down as he leaps into the sky, putting a massive crater in the ground from flying off. Clark would break the sound barrier as he flies through the clouds. Within an instant, he would make it to Smallville as Clark would come up to the house. He'd grow up and he would fly down softly, landing on his feet. As he began to walk inside, as Clark would say,
Hey Mom, I'm here.
Mom would come from upstairs, as she walks down the stairs saying, "Hey Clark, Lois been trying to get a hold of you. What have you been doing?"
Sorry, just been out the fortress trying to get my strength back. You do remember I died, right?
Mrs. Kent would put her hands on her hips saying, "Well yes, I remember. It was one of the worst days of my life. Losing the only son I have," as he would say in a very sad tone of voice. Clark would walk up to his mom, giving her a hug as he would respond,
Coming back took its toll on me, so I had to get my strength back, which took 4 hours. But anyway, why Lois come here?
Clark would walk to the fridge to grab something to drink. Mrs. Kent would respond, "Well, she thought you was here, and she wanted to tell you something, but I'll let her tell you. And why haven't you told her you're Superman yet?" As Clark was drinking his water, he would spit it out everywhere before he would say anything. He would whip his mouth saying,
I don't know. Why would you even ask that? I mean, I've had times when I wanted to tell her everything, but that fight with Doomsday changed my mind about it. I couldn't do that to her. If I get put in another situation like that again, she would be heartbroken.
Mrs. Kent wouldn't really like what Clark just said. She would just answer back saying, "Either way it goes, she's still going to get hurt, Clark. In her mind she is dating Clark Kent, not Superman. She should know who you truly are. Don't keep that from her. You never know what you're going to miss out on." Mrs. Kent would walk out the kitchen as Clark would sit there thinking about what his mom said until his phone begins to ring. He would go into his pocket to see who's calling and would see that it's Lois Lane. He would slowly take a deep breath before answering.
Hey Lois.
Finally, you answered your phone. I've been trying to call you for the longest time. Who do you think you are, not answering my calls? Where are you?
I'm at my mom's. I just got here. Lois, I'm sorry if I haven't answered your calls. I've just been busy, is all.
I just left your mom's house an hour ago and she said you weren't there. But that's besides the point. Clark, we're supposed to be a couple. Be there for each other in times of need. But you haven't really been there for me like you're supposed to. It's been really hard for me. I think you should know that I can't do this anymore, Smallville. Now, it took me a long time to think of this. I think it's best.
Lois, let's not end things together. Not before I have to tell you something I've been wanting to tell you my whole life since we've been together. I promise you, for what I'm about to tell you is going to explain everything. Lois, please, hear me out.
Alright, I'll hear you out, but if I don't like what I'm gonna hear, then I'm done.
Again, I promise you. You're going to be surprised. Where are you now?
I just got home.
Okay, I'm on my way.
Clark would hang up the phone and super speed out the door as Mrs. Kent would listen in on the conversation as she just smiles. As the scene would change back to outer space as Omni's Superman ship would make it to Earth as the ship just sits in space. Omni Superman would be looking out the window as he sees the planet Earth. He would place his hand on the glass. As 4 of his members would walk up as they too I would stare at Earth as Omni Superman, which just say,
Let's not make the same mistake. Get ready to fire the flag to let the people of Earth know that an invasion is upon them. Time for me to put this up to me.
Back on Earth. Clark would make it to Lois's house as he stands at her door pacing himself, thinking to himself on what he should say first as he just mumbles as he take a deep breath and finally knock at the door. Lois would come to the door as she opens it, letting Clark and that steps inside it would say,
Okay. I know it's been a while since we've seen each other in person, and I've been having this on my mind. You don't need to say anything. I just want you to hear me out. I don't want this to end without you knowing the truth on who I really am.
Lois would have a huge surprise on her face as she would say,
Whoa. Time out. Hold up. You're not a serial killer, are you? 'Cause, we've been dating for a long time and you're telling me this now? That you're a psycho killer? That's just sick. Oh my god, Lois, what are you doing? You're dating a psycho killer. Oh my god.
Wait, what? No, I'm not a psycho killer. Why would you even think that? That's crazy.
Well, I don't know, okay? I'm just checking to make sure you're not a psycho killer. That would be creepy, like really creepy, cause I would have screamed out loud if you tried to kill me, or I would have kicked you in the nuts and tasered you for about 5 to 15 minutes until you crap yourself and pee all over the place. And then I would call the police after I'm done smacking you in the face a couple of times.
What the heck? That's pretty harsh. And at the same time, but dang, you do me like that? Just wrong on so many levels. But how did this even come to this? But no, listen.
Oh, I'm listening. I'm just waiting for you to say something. I won't cut you off.
Right when Clark was about to say what he had to say, a flash of purple light will light up the sky as a beam will shoot down in the middle of the city, causing a massive explosion, catching Clark's attention and Lois as they both would turn around and look outside and see the massive explosion mushroom that would cause a shockwave hit the city, making it halfway to Lois' place. As Clark would shield Lois, protecting her from the debris, as Clark would stand up as his back facing towards Lois. He would take off his glasses as Lois is sitting on the ground as she looks up. Seeing his glasses in his hand, Clark would soon turn around and would say,
Out of all the timing, something bad like this would happen. I know the flashing light is covering my face, and you can't see me without my glasses. I know you can see my mouth moving. Lois, I've loved you so much, and I love being with you. I'm sorry that it took me so long to tell you that. I'm Superman.
Clark would unbutton his shirt as Lois would see the S emblem for hope. She couldn't help it but tear at that exact moment as she places her hands over her mouth. Clark turns around facing out the window after taking all of his clothes off to don his Superman suit. He would just hover out the window and smile right after taking off towards the explosion at high speed. Meanwhile, a massive crater would be in the center of Metropolis City as a flag with the Omega symbol on it, as the civilians all would gather around to see the flag as 5 beams on light would shoot down, as the people would look on. Omni Superman and his allies would appear from the beams of light. As they would look up to see the people, Omni Superman feet would start to lift off the ground as he floats up into the air, as the people of Metropolis City would look at him as he floats above their heads. Of the crowd, someone would see that he had the same symbol as their hero Superman, as a civilian would yell out, "Hey! Why you got Superman emblem on your chest? You ain't no Superman?" This would have Omni Superman laughing as everyone would look on until he would say,
You damn humans are funny as hell. I'm Omni Superman, a much better Superman than yours.
The civilians would yell out at Omni Superman as he looks down at them. The other 4 members of Omni Superman's crew would jump out the crater, until the civilians would say, Get the hell off our planet. Omni Superman eyes would glow a blood red and would fire an omega beam, killing half of the crowd of people as he would say,
To all you lower level life forms, you are all beneath me. In the name of Apocalypse, this planet is...
Before Omni Superman could finish what he was saying, Superman would appear out of nowhere, at full speed, with a powerful punch cracking Omni Superman right in his face, causing the sound barrier to break around them, both sending a big shock waves blowing out every building windows out as Omni Superman would be sent flying through the city as the building windows would be blowing out as Omni Superman's body flies by them, but Omni Superman transitioned his body into a backflip as he does multiple backflips before reaching the building behind him once Omni Superman braced himself. It would be so great as momentum would cause a backlash wave blowing out the entire building's windows out, as he would just crack his neck from left to right as he floats in the air. He would say to himself,
Well, I hardly felt that punch. Managed to send me quite a distance. But no worries. This should be really fun. Let's see if he can put up a real fight.
Omni Superman, whole entire body would lunge forward as he takes off, flying back towards the crater, where he was punched from moving really fast. Superman would see him coming and would brace himself, but it would be too late. Omni Superman would be right in Superman's face, and would deliver a 4-piece combo to Superman's face, having him staggered. As Omni Superman would grab Superman by the face, as he threw him over the crowd of people as Superman would hit a man going right through it as it would explode, as the civilians would scream out as they all would take cover. The world would be watching this whole event live as a helicopter is seen flying, but keeping its distance from the battlefield. Lex Luthor would be watching as he would let out,
Well, it seems that Superman may have found someone to give him a run for his money. But this man right here is very intriguing. I wonder... Hey, Marcy, I think it's time we head out to Sector 47. I want to check on our little friend there.
Marcy would get up out of her chair as she and Lex Luthor would walk out the office as they both would step in the elevator as it makes its way down to the lobby. Once down there, Lex and Marcy would exited the elevator, as they walked down to the hall to the main lobby as Lex would notice a man standing at the security desk. Turns out it would be Lex Luthor's dad, Lionel Luthor. Lex wouldn't be too happy about it as he would let out as Marcy would just continue to walk ahead to get the car.
Look decided to crawl his ass right out of the devil's ass himself. My father.
Lionel would just have a straight look on his face as he would put both his hands on Lex's suit as he would look straight into Lex's eyes and say,
Very funny, Alexander. Looks like you're not happy to see me. I'm guessing you are probably wondering why I'm here.
Lex would just smirk as he lets out,
I don't give 2 rats' ass about you being here. Whatever you have planned, hurry up and leave. Now!
saying that as he would just walk away with his left hand in his left pocket, while waving with his right hand as Lex exited the building as he gets in the car as it drives off. Lionel would smile as he walk off, back to the fight between Superman and Omni-Superman as the two would be undergoing a brutal fight, leaving Omni-Superman as dominant fighter showing no mercy to Superman. It's like the two are on a whole nother level as they both are flowing in the air. Superman would ask Omni-Superman a question.
Tell me, why have you come to this planet?
Isn't it obvious? We're here to take this planet in the name of Darkseid. I know you noticed the Omega symbol on the flag. Common sense would have told you that.
Just like I stopped Darkseid all those years ago, I'm stopping you as well. And sending you crawling right back to him with your cape tucked between your legs.
You're so funny and serious. that you really think that you can beat me. I'm going to mop the floors with you and show why I'm the real Superman here.
You can try, but I'm not letting you take this planet. Once I'm done with you, I'm ripping that symbol off your chest. You do not stand for hope. That symbol belongs to my family. You are no House of L.
Again, you are way too funny. I wouldn't be wearing this symbol on my chest if I wasn't from the House of L. But I'm sorry, if it was up to me, I would be wearing the Omega symbol. But I'm not the one that made this suit. My dear old granny made it for me out of the kindness of her heart. Darkseid knows how many people I've done killed in this suit and conquered planets in the name of my father Darkseid.
Something about him does look familiar. I gotta take this guy out, quick as possible.
Superman would just lunge towards Omni-Superman, hitting him with multiple punches, but for some reason these punches did not affect Omni-Superman, as he would cock his fist back to deliver a powerful punch straight into Superman's face, causing sound barrier to break, sending him flying through buildings as everything would burst and shatter as Superman would crash and burn, hitting the ground, causing a massive crater as he just lays there. The street pipes would be busted as water would flow into the crater. As the soil would get all muddy, Superman would slowly stand up as Omni-Superman would fly straight down into the crater, like a bolt of lightning, to deliver a massive punch to Superman's jaw, once again forcing him back into the ground as it cracks even more. Omni would deliver flurry of punches. As the impact would echo throughout the city of Metropolis, Omni-Superman crew would just sit there and watch as they laugh. Omni-Superman would grab Superman by the throat as he throw them up into the air, right into the arms of the Bohemian. As he would catch him, Superman would just be unconscious, and his arms, as Omni-Superman would say,
Let's get him back to Apocalypse. He will be my trophy to my father. Beam us up, Cascade.
Cascade would nod his head as he would press a button on his wrist as they would be beamed up into the sky on a ship that sits in space. A massive boom tube would open as the ship would fly right through. This would have everybody in the city of Metropolis speechless on what just happened, as the people would start to ask questions. But meanwhile, at Sector 47, Lex Luthor would be walking down a long hallway, until he will finally make it to a door as he slides a key card to open the door, that the light would turn red to green for him to walk right through. Behind the door would be a massive cell with red lights everywhere, as a young woman would be laying in the middle of the cell as she just lays there throwing a ball up in the air out of boredom. Lex Luthor will walk up to the cell. As he taps on the glass, he would say,
You look like you're having fun.
Eat ass, Baldy.
Well, that was rude of you. Maybe I should turn the cell lights from red to green and see how you like to be in pain, since me being bold is funny to you. I'm sure I will get a good laugh from that.
What do you want, Lex? Why do you keep coming down here and not want anything but just to make jokes and watch me suffer on this dumbass red light?
I just enjoy it, that's all. It's funny to see you squirm like a little worm that you are. Damn! You Kryptonians are funny. But real down to business. Though I'm here to let you out under one condition. That you will be taking orders and work from me. Do you understand? Only me!
How would you know I won't just turn on you once I get out? I will snap your neck so fast you won't even know what happened.
Well, damn girl. Why you gotta do me like that? Plus, it wouldn't even happen anyway. Because there's something that I got called kryptonite that would react if you do anything to lay harm to me, meaning your body would drop as fast as you think you are. So again, do you understand my terms?
The young woman would just think to herself as she stares directly at Lex Luthor in his eyes, trying not to burn his face off with her heat vision. As she would just say,
Alright, I'll work for you.
Good answer, my little alien friend. This is the start of a new friendship.
The cell doors would open as Lex would snap his fingers, The red sunlight would turn off as the young woman would just walk out the cell as Lex would follow her as they both would leave the cell room. Marcy would be waiting with a large briefcase as she would hand it to the woman as she would take it. First putting it on the floor as she would just open it to see her house symbols. She would take off all her clothes in the middle of the hallway as she would say,
I swear, it's better fit if you really want me to wear this. And I don't appreciate you putting my family symbol on here either.
Lex would just turn around as the woman would get dressed as Marcy would just continue to watch. As the woman's eyes would glow red, Marcy would turn around. The woman would spin in a circle, and would have her suit on with the House of L symbol as the S would show up close. Lex would let out,
Here is a picture of Lois Lane. Bring her to this location, and don't be late.
The woman would keep her speed off as we would come back to Lois' house as she is watching the news on what just happened to Superman, as she just sits on the couch, eating ice cream after finding out that the man she is having a baby with is Superman, that she had a crush with as she would, herself.
How can he just keep something like that to himself after all these years we've been together? What a jerk! I swear, Smallville, I'm going to kick your ass when I see you. Oh, wait! Your dumbass got taken away! Okay. Breathe, Lois. Okay, just breathe. Don't lose your mind just yet. It's the pregnancy talking. Just take a deep breath.
As Lois would be breathing and calming herself down, as a voice would speak out,
For a human, you sure do talk too much. I don't see you, talking to yourself. It's kind of funny and pathetic.
Lois would get startled, dropping her ice cream on the floor, as she jumps up at the chair as she turned her head behind her, and would see a woman leaning up against the patio door, with her arms crossed, an all-blue suit with a red cape with red boots with the S symbol on her chest, as Lois would say,
Excuse me, who the hell are you? And why are you standing on my patio? Why are you dressed like Superman? How did he even get up here? I'm on the 32nd floor!
The woman would just have a crazy look on her face, as she would just say,
I'm not about to sit here and play 21 questions with you. And all I'm gonna say is, my name's Kara. That's it. Now, let's go. We're going on a little joyride, Miss Lane.
a shocking look on her face as she would say,
Oh boy.